Hello, welcome to Secure Talk, your trusted source of information on the latest threats, trends, tools, and technology related to cybersecurity and compliance. Join our hosts as they discuss a wide range of topics and speak with leading cybersecurity, technology, and compliance experts. Now is the time for Secure Talk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Secure Talk. Secure Talk is brought to you by adaQuest, your cybersecurity and compliance partner. My name is Mark Schreiner, and I will be your host for this episode of Secure Talk. Today, I'm going to be joined by my colleague, Christophe Koehl. Christophe, am I pronouncing your name the right way? Your last name? First name? Either or?
Almost.
Okay. How about you give it a shot?
Almost.
Who's joining me here? Who's joining me here today?
Christophe Koehl.
Okay, easy for you to say, Christophe. But Christophe and I are going to be talking about an assessment and a process that companies can do, should do, and are doing to help improve their security posture when they're using Office 365. And that's called the Office 365 Secure Score. But before we jump into that, Christophe, how's your week been?
It's been busy, but really interesting so far.
Yeah?
So I'm happy to be there and discuss about the Office 365 Security Secure Score with you today and with your listeners.
Excellent, excellent. Well, so why don't we start off with, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do at adaQuest, and then we'll jump into the Office 365 Secure Score.
Sure. So I'm a solution architect for adaQuest. So it's been almost 4 years. I've been with adaQuest doing lots of different things, and especially into the cloud. Currently, I'm more specialized into doing some cloud migration projects with our customers, and also optimizing their Office 365 tenants. So by optimizing, it means that lots of security features are available in Office 365, and most of them are not activated by default. And this is what I do with our customers is to tell them what that can enable in order to improve their security posture.
Yeah, it's amazing. I read a report, and also, we heard this directly from Microsoft. Something like 65 to 70% of their enterprise clients that have purchased Office 365 aren't activating a large majority of the security features that are baked into Office 365. That means they've paid for these licenses, but they're not fully utilizing them. And it's part of it's because of awareness. Part of it's because they lack maybe the expertise or the experience in terms of figuring out which controls to activate and then how to do that. But I guess all that starts with running the Secure Score assessment. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Secure Score assessment?
Okay, so the Secure Score it's a service that we provide for our customers, but which is also available for anyone who has an Office 365 licenses. So you can go anytime to securescore.office.com. So securescore.office.com. So it's free, and you will get accessing this page. You will get a score. So if you are not familiar with Office 365 feature, your score will probably not that high, but the idea is to by implementing some suggestions, which is available on this Secure Score website, you will increase your security score, and the higher you get, the more protected. This is what Microsoft is recommending. The more protected from a security point of view you will be. So this is the main idea.
Okay, and what does the score run from? Just to give you an example, I assume it starts at a 0, but could go up to.
If you have Office 365 E3 or E5 or business, for example, the maximum score you can get can be lower. But the maximum ever is about 430 something, and this maximum can change depending on the Microsoft implementation as well. But usually, on average, the maximum score is around 360. So, and when you have a score between 200 and 250, you're pretty good. You're pretty good already. If you haven't done anything to implement like security, a specific security feature in Office 65, your score would probably be around 30, 40, because just using OneDrive, for example, you would get some points. But 30 or 40 points is a low score, right? The average score for globally, so this is an information which is also provided by Microsoft, is 30 points right now. And this average score change over time, of course. But with 30 points, it means that basically you haven't activated anything right now. And this average score change over time, of course. But with 30 points, it means that basically you haven't activated anything.
Yeah, and again, it's because a lot of times people just aren't aware of the tools that are there available for them.
Exactly.
And we do see a lot of organizations that come in and we do the initial assessment, and they'll hit a 30 to a 40, and they say, oh, well, we want to get up to 400. Well, 400 is not necessarily the desired number, because at that point, all of the different security features and functions that you would have to activate would dramatically impact your end user's experience, right? And so it would be incredibly restrictive, and it's probably not even necessary in 99.9% of the cases. So like you said, if you can get up in the upper 100s, middle 200s, then you're looking pretty darn secure, yes. Right? But let's say that there's a company, and of course it varies for every organization, but let's just, typically speaking, if you've got an organization and they score a 30 and they say, according to our business needs, we probably should get up to the upper 100s. What are some typical recommendations that the secure score will output?
So one of the biggest one is enabled MFA for the global admins. So MFA stands for multi-factor authentication, so which add an extra layer during the authentication process. And this layer is basically using your device, so your mobile device, your phone typically, to authenticate. So what it means is basically a text would be sent to your mobile device, or a phone call, or you would be able to use a specific app to add extra security during your authentication process. So applying this rule for global admins is very important because, global admins in the IT world are key. Because they have the keys of the kingdom, basically. If you are a global admin, basically you have access to everything. So, and especially the data, the corporate data, which is the most sensitive piece of information that, of course, a company doesn't want to be compromised. So, this is the first one, enable MFA for global admin.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we do see companies that have failed to do that, right? And, your number of global admins is typically limited. It's a small group of people compared to the occasionally or on a regular basis have to elevate themselves to global admin. Well, in those cases, it makes perfect sense to force them to do some sort of MFA.
Yes, exactly. So, security, it's always a balance between enforcing security policies and usability. But for global admin, even if it adds an extra step during the authentication process, it's still a good security feature to enable. Here at adaQuest, all our global admins are MFA protected. I'm a global admin for all my customers. For example, I set up MFA for all their my global admin account to my customers. So I spend a lot of time authenticate, and honestly, it's not that complicated, not that difficult. and it doesn't take that much extra time to authenticate when you set up the right thing. So in my case, I use the MS Authenticator, and so when I authenticate, I basically get a notification on my phone. I either accept or deny it, and that's it. So it takes 5 seconds. So it's an extra 5 seconds per authentication. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, and as we've seen in the news, and I mentioned on a previous podcast, the huge breach that Deloitte had last year could have been entirely prevented if their admin or the global admin whose account was breached, if he had activated MFA, but he had deactivated it, even though it was a company policy. It's funny because it's ironic because, Accenture, they actually have a security practice, right? A cybersecurity practice. And if you go to their page, one of the things that they most strongly recommend is enabling MFA. Of course, this person, at Deloitte, had, not Accenture, but at Deloitte, he had deactivated his MFA. His account, his credentials had been breached, and they got, like you said, the keys to the kingdom, right?
Yep.
One of the
So
go ahead.
So can I add something?
Please.
So this is something which is really important. So going on to securescore.office.com. So this is something that a person in charge of auditing the security feature of Office 365 would have seen, because first he wouldn't have gotten the score for having all global admins protected by MFA, and second, he would have seen that like 80% of your global admins are protected by MFA and not 100%. So this is something that is available on securescore.office.com. So this could not have happened.
No, that's a really good point. Another thing I like about the Secure Score is, like the last report that I looked at, it had something like 36, 37 different recommendations. And you can order the recommendations based upon the impact to your security.
Yes.
So if you want to say most important items first, you can also filter them by impact on the user experience. So, you can pick your quick and easy wins, right? By looking at high impact to security, low impact to user experience.
Absolutely. So there are two levels of ordering the suggestions. So like you said, it's user impact. So no impact. They say Microsoft says low impact, but it means in other way it means like no impact on users. So which means that the user won't see any difference on a daily basis, opposed to moderate impact, where the users could see something different on a daily basis. For example, one recommendation is enable MFA for all the users. So in this case, the users will see difference because during the authentication process, he will need to use a mobile device. But in this case, I would not necessarily recommend to implement this policy because it's kind of descriptive. Some users will complain, obviously. And it's not necessary if they don't have access to sensitive data, for example. So this is the first level of ordering the Office 365 recommendation. The second one is the cost. So some of them, of these recommendations, requires to acquire some extra feature from Microsoft. So it could be having Office 365 E5 licenses instead of the regular Office for Office 365 for Business, or Azure ATP, which is the Advanced Threat Protection, or extra licenses. So and it could be kind of expensive to implement this recommendation because you will need to buy these extra licenses. But again, Secure Score facilitate this ordering process. It provides basically a spreadsheet where in the spreadsheet there's a list of all the recommendations, and you can filter by user impact and by cost. So if you filter by low impact, no cost, these are your easy wins.
Absolutely. Well, what are some other recommendations that you commonly see?
So auditing, enabling the auditing feature for the mailbox. This is kind of big one for me, because if you have someone dedicated for the security, he needs to know what's happening in the exchange world, and it's very useful to. It's a very powerful tool to investigate once something's going on. For example, if you see outbound spam activities or malware outbound activities, so this is a nice way to investigate. So where it comes from, when it was sent, and it's the first step for to remediate the problem, basically. So yeah, enable all the auditing features in Office 365. This is what I would recommend, highly recommend. What else?
How about reporting? Just regular, what are the capabilities for reporting, and then how often would you recommend people use them?
So this is one thing. So one of the recommendation is basically to review all the reports that Office 365 provides, and there are a bunch of them. So so this could be time consuming, right? Someone has to be dedicated on a weekly basis to spend 1-2 hours to have a look on these reports, but this is very useful as well. So by reviewing these reports, right, you'll get some points. If you don't, you will lose these points, and it's quite significant. If you review on a weekly basis all the different reports, you will get around between 80 to 100 points, something like that. So it's quite significant. Microsoft put that many points for this reviewing activity, because it's important to have a look on what's happening on your Office 365 tenant. So one of those reports, for example, is the risky sign-ins. So it's a report when you would see the users, some users who have to sign in from weird locations, or impossible travel scenario. So if you see a user sign in the US and in France, for example, the same day, or at a couple of minutes of difference, this is a scenario which is impossible. So this report will show you this kind of impossible travel scenario, and you will know that, this account most likely has been compromised.
And are these reports available for all Office 365 clients, users?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. So most of them doesn't require to have extra licenses. A vast majority of them. Some of them will require extra licenses. ATP, for example. So I mentioned this earlier in the talk. So advanced threat protection. If you enable this, so if you buy basically ATP, you would have access to extra reports, which are quite useful as well. But most of these reports don't require any extra licenses. So the sign-in one is a kind of important one. There are some other reports which are quite useful and really interesting. By default, there's a spam and malware report which can be extracted, which is also super useful. One of the first time I had a look on this report, I was amazed of the number of spam received, and that the user never sees, basically, because it's filtered right away. But at one point I was thinking, well, it looks like there are many more spams than legitimate emails received in a mailbox, and this actually could be true.
Wow, it's kind of scary.
Yes.
So What about customers that say, yeah, we would like to do that, but we just don't have the bandwidth or the expertise? I mean, running the report is actually pretty darn simple, right?
Yes, no. It is easy.
It's easy.
So yeah, you basically log in into this secure score. You have this list of recommendation, and from this list of recommendation, you click on the recommendation, and Office 365 will redirect you directly on the right report. So it's fairly easy. So you have to be a global admin. This is the only constraint, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once you logged in as a global admin, yeah, you have access to this report, and it's fairly easy to run them, to execute these reports, and to get useful information right away.
Okay. And so they run the report, and then again, they come back and they say, okay, we've got recommendations here, enable MFA for global admin, or
Yep.
create it so that we can have some audit logs, or we want to have take a look at some of the reporting features. But again, we don't have the bandwidth or the expertise. So what are some options for a company in a situation like that? I'm teeing you up for a sales talk here. So go ahead.
Yes, I got that. So I'm not sales, but I'm more on the operation side. But yes, I got the tip. So of course, you can contact us at adaQuest. So we provide an Office 365 security tune-up service, which consists in basically three steps. I mean, first the assessment. So first we will have a look on the customer secure score and provide an assessment. So basically, and this assessment will be divided into three parts. So the first part will be the implementation of the low impact and no cost recommendations. So this is the immediate, basically, actions to be done in order to improve the secure score. The second step would be to provide a webinar or an on-site sessions in order to raise the security awareness for the company, the corporate users, because security, it starts with enabling. It could be done on a computer level, on a system level, by enabling all these different features on Office 365. But it is also done on the user level. It starts on the keyboard and the mouse. So, and most of the users and most of the security vulnerability or threat could be avoided by having some very simple tips, which can be which should be delivered to the users. For example, it's fairly easy to identify a phishing email when you know where to look. So this would be the second step, basically, to provide either a webinar, so it could be done remotely, or to an on-site security awareness session. And the third step, when it's done, it's basically to implement the moderate impact recommendation, and maybe the one which the recommendation which required some extra licenses.
Well, sounds like a great program. Sounds like a great way to instantly get an awareness of where your security posture is at, identify any major holes or vulnerabilities, and then have a plan right out of the box to say, okay, here's what we need to implement to instantly improve our security posture. And it's something that can happen within a couple weeks. So it sounds like a great opportunity program. I know this is the security tune-up that you're speaking about is a Microsoft approved program for that they have approved for adaQuest to deliver to Microsoft clients.
Yes.
And in many cases, depending on that customer's relationship with Microsoft, the Microsoft may take care of the funding of the program. So it's basically, it's kind of a win-win-win situation. You can get smarter, improve your security, and not have to spend any money on it. So
exactly,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So depending on the customers, yes, this Office 365 security tune-up can be funded by Microsoft.
Excellent.
So, yeah, give us a call and we'll figure out a solution for you. This is
See, now you really are starting to sound like a salesperson. That's excellent, because I will never be able to sound like a solution architect. So no matter how hard I try. Well, okay, he would say we're running out of time here. Again, one last thing. Okay, remind everybody if they want to get their secure score. I mean, again, you can do this yourself or we can work with you on it. But if you want to do it yourself, where would they go?
securescore.office.com.
Okay, securescore.office.com.
And actually, there's another address. So securescore.microsoft.com would work too.
Excellent.
But yeah, either way.
Okay, and then if you need some help or guidance on that, some recommendations, let us know. Last thing, any parting thoughts on another tip related to cybersecurity? I should back up. I really like the suggestion in terms of user education, because obviously we see most breaches start from a phishing campaign, and the best defense against phishing is not relying on technology, not just saying, oh well, if it's on my email it must be safe. No, it's being aware, being vigilant, saying this is kind of strange, this person is asking me to do something that is way out of the of the ordinary. They've asked me to wire some money. They've asked me to immediately open this file, and I don't know who this person is, and I don't know. So just slow down for a second there. So I like the education factor. But any other last closing tips for people looking to improve their security?
So on a user level. So if you're using a desktop or a laptop, so it is really important for your laptop and your desktop to be updated. So the last version of Windows 10, the last version of whatever you're using, having your an antivirus updated. And this comment actually is also true for macOS users. So it's really important for Mac users to have an antivirus. It's highly recommended, even if his Mac is less targeted from a virus point of view. But there are viruses in the Mac world. And last but not least, having a backup solution in place, because again, your data is the most valuable thing that you can have in a company, other than human, of course, but right after this, it's data, and you want to protect it. So you have to have a backup solution. And the thing I want to highlight is using OneDrive, for example, or any Dropbox or Google Drive, this kind of tool. So this doesn't protect you against a ransomware attack, for example, because the ransomware will encrypt the data which is stored in this kind of tool. So you want to have a real backup solution in order to restore your data.
So a real backup solution. And I, by the way, these are all excellent tips and advice, but you got me interested here. A real backup solution. What would that be? Because some of these attacks, they take place over weeks or months, not just instantly. So they can, the attackers can get in on your network, and they can see where your backups are and the frequency of your backups, and they can encrypt your backups as well. So what would you consider to be a real, quote unquote, real backup?
So in this case, you're really in trouble when the hacker has access to this level of information in your corporate. There's nothing else you can do, basically. So he's the global admin.
Okay.
Instead of your regular global admin, so you're already in really bad trouble. But I was more thinking about regular users on a personal level, not necessarily on a corporate level. But yes, to have a backup solution on their desktop in order to restore to restore data in case, well, it's lost. This is the first scenario, and in case it has been compromised. So, and we even in corporate environment, we see that some of our customers don't or mixed the two elements, like the synchronization tool like OneDrive and the backup solutions. So, yep, having both is the right way to do.
Excellent advice. Well, hey, Christophe, I really appreciate you taking the time to walk us through the Office 365 Secure Score and Security Tune-Up and some best practices related to cybersecurity. Would like to wish you a great 3-day weekend and look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I wish you a very great weekend, you too.
Okay. Cheers, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, welcome to Secure Talk, your trusted source of information on the latest threats, trends, tools, and technology related to cybersecurity and compliance. Join our hosts as they discuss a wide range of topics and speak with leading cybersecurity, technology, and compliance experts. Now is the time for Secure Talk.